Hello, my name's Corinna Mansfield, and I'm coming to you from Malvern College, Hong Kong. And I thought I would just talk to you today about how I use Canva to market my school library. So I'll just show you a presentation that I gave at the 21 HK conference that happened here in Hong Kong a few months ago. It's a great conference, and if you ever get the chance, you should maybe try to do some of their online courses. They're really great. I will show you the presentation, and then I'll show you how I make my newsletters really quickly. And then I'll give you some QR codes so that you can access the presentation if you want to look at it more closely later. So let's see, I'll just present this. So this is the presentation that I gave to the 21 CLHK conference here in Hong Kong. It's all about marketing my school library. As you can see in the background here, there's a picture of my library. There's also my library logo, and I made this with Canva, this presentation. This is all about me. This is the About Me page. You can go back to that later if you're that interested. So here is how I sectioned it out. It's about guidelines and standards, tech tools, objectives, mission, vision, analytical tools that I use, the types of data that I collected, my collection methods, and then how I presented that information to my school and to the conference. So these are all the different guidelines and standards that I used. As you can see, these are the typical things that a lot of school libraries around the world use: SLA standards, IFLA, American Association of School Library standards, SILIP, which is a UK-based standard. And there are links to all of these in the presentation if you're interested in looking at this later. These are some of the tech tools I used. As librarians, I'm sure you're all very familiar with these. Yes, Linktree, LibGuides, Wakelet, Padlet, Canva, Adobe Express. This was my objective page. This is actually a picture that I generated with AI, DALL-E. It really does look like me somehow. I don't know how, but, and I'll just continue on here. This was my library summary. Now I'm really just showing you this so you can see how you could lay out your own marketing plan for your library. I'm not going to read everything that's on these pages. It's really just so that you have some placeholder information, or if you want to copy something from here, I'm perfectly happy with you to do that as well. And then these are the types of data that I used when I was doing my marketing research. Student demographics, usage statistics for my databases, and other things like my Follett Destiny library software, current trending research, collaborative input. And these are the methods that I use to collect the data: social research, observations, digital analytics, existing data sources. And then these are the analytical tools that I used: a SWOT analysis, stakeholder analysis, power interest matrix, and a customer journey map, which I thought was very useful. So this was my SWOT analysis that I put together for my library. Everybody's library is different, but this is a very useful tool. This is a way to determine the strengths, the weaknesses, the threats and opportunities. And once you lay this all out, you might have a better picture of how to improve your library situation, whatever it is. And all of these templates and all of these graphics are from Canva. So here's the expanded SWOT analysis. Once I had those little sentences, I was able to expand on them and possibly come up with some solutions. And so here is something for you to possibly do a SWOT analysis of your own library, where you can identify strengths, weaknesses, threats, opportunities, and then you can analyze your findings and formulate some strategies on how to strengthen your library program or your library facility or whatever it is you need personally in your library. Here's some questions to consider. These are all from the American Library Association. So these are questions that I didn't create myself. These are from ALA. And then here is my stakeholder analysis, where I tried to figure out who are the stakeholders in my library, what level of influence they have, what's their level of interest, their potential roles, their communication strategy, and then the communication strategies that I developed for them or have already developed. My power interest matrix. This was actually quite a detailed interest matrix, and you can take a look at this later. I don't want to read everything that's on the screen. It's quite wordy, but it did give me a little more insight into how I can better serve my library community. So I'll just go through that. My customer journey map. This was the really interesting one I thought that I did. It's just a map, basically, of how your students or your teachers or whoever you're trying to figure out accesses the resources in your library. So how do they discover your library? How do they access the things in there? What resources are available? What are the interactions like between your audience and yourself or your library? And what's the overall experience? And then once you lay that all out, you may see some opportunities for improvement. And these are the questions you can ask in each category. And then who's your target market? So figuring out your target market, what multiple audiences you have, and the key concerns of those audiences. Your brand development. I created this logo using Canva. Canva has a logo creator. It was really fun to use, and I played around with a few different designs, and this is the one that I decided to keep. Even though I'm not actually sure about this color green, I might fix it a little bit to be more in line with the green that's in the logo for our school, but I'm not sure yet. So that's the brand development, grounding statements, target market, designing a logo, and then monitoring and adapting over time is also really important to think about. Here is some examples of marketing strategy communication channels, different ways you can communicate with your audiences. And here are some examples of my newsletters. And I think that I can actually just click on this and go to my newsletter directly. So I'll go back to that in a second. But this is actually a really great tool to use. I've been using this tool for quite a long time, not with Canva. I started out in just putting one together in Microsoft Word, but once I got Canva, I realized how incredibly easy it is to make these beautiful newsletters, and I'll show you exactly how to do that in a little while. This is a few different newsletters from this past year. As you can see, they all have table of contents, and I try to be consistent that way. Some of them are larger and some of them are smaller. It depends on what kind of time I have. So I usually start with a what's new kind of thing. If I'm celebrating a theme, I'll put that in. So as you can see, for February, it was Black History Month, but I also did something about featured titles from Coretta Scott King, and I always do an author study. So in January, it was Rainbow Rowell, and in February, it was Jacqueline Woodson, and in October, it was Holly Black. And then I might have a couple of other articles in there depending on how much time I have. And so you can see in February, I had quite a bit of time. So I wrote an article about weeding and something about the Year of the Dragon and some additional reader's advisory. But in January, I didn't really have that much time. So I just did a reader's advisory. And I always end my newsletters with a recap of the month before and the stats of my library. So I'll show you what those are in a minute. Okay, so here's some more marketing strategies with collaborations and partnerships in my community here in Hong Kong. This is a snapshot of my LibGuide. This is another way that I market my library. I try to make pages that are relevant to many different departments, and I try to redirect them to using my LibGuide all the time. I have a little library blog on my LibGuide as well, We're an IB school, so we have a lot of things for MYP, personal project, and extended essay, and TOK and CAS. If you're not an IB school, you might not know what those things are, but those are very specific to IB schools. Marketing strategies, measurement and evaluation of how we assess the effectiveness of these efforts. Consistent updates is important. And here are 10 marketing strategies that we try to do in practice in our library. You can always go back to these and read these more carefully. You can steal any of this information you like and use it yourself. Here are some of the initiatives that we're working on recently. We're engaging in professional development for our teachers. We have a lot of educational trends and priorities that we try to incorporate into our program. We seek feedback from students a lot. We're trying to align our library program with the curriculum, so we attend a lot of staff level meetings and we try to adjust accordingly. We have a library skills scope and sequence, which is a big, large document that shows all of the different research skills that students should be acquiring from early years all the way up to high school. And then more things about promoting reading culture. And our technology improvements, our space optimization, which hasn't really happened yet, but that's something that's on the table for next year. Community engagement, professional development. Oh, and this is a document that I created for my teachers. So this is another way to market your library, is to make useful tools for them. And this is the scope and sequence that I just mentioned. These are pretty detailed tables of where students should be in their reference and citation and research skills and library skills. And then here are my favorite library initiatives. One of them is the Library Ambassadors Club. I have a group of about 25 students that call themselves library ambassadors. They wear little lanyards that say library ambassador, and they help me do odd jobs around the library. And that could be reshelving books. It could be checking for lost books and doing some little catalog updates and things like that. I don't really have them get into the library system directly, but I do have them check things for me and relabel things and things like that. And then this is more about the Library Ambassadors Club if you wanted to start one in your own school. And then here's a couple of other things we've been doing: return rewards and a library skills initiative. Here are our ideas of what strong library programming should include. And this was my library calendar for the month of March, because it's the year of the dragon here. Instead of just doing a book week, I did an entire book month, which was March into reading. And we did a lot of information about different things around Hong Kong that had to do with reading. There is also um, a young readers literary festival at the same time. So we had some authors visit from there. We had 5 days of author visits and all kinds of other things going on. So it was a lot of fun. And this calendar was all over the school. We made posters and things like that. The students helped me design this calendar. And this was my library newsletter for that month, and it included a lot of different things. As you can see, there are many things in the table of contents for that particular one. And then here are some of the learning tools that I used when I put together this presentation. There are a lot of great materials out there. And I also wanted to show people that I had my own materials that I made. I made this book. I actually used Canva to create this 200-page book about the extended essay. I'm working on a book right now of middle school library skills for special needs students. These are wonderful handouts from the SILIP group in the UK. And these are some other books that I used that gave me some really great motivational information. So that was some of the things that I used. And then this is a library infographic that was made by someone from the Framingham Public Library, and I used that also in one of my newsletters. And so this is a QR code from Flowcodes that you can scan to get this presentation and look at it at home. And you can also contact me anytime for any information or questions or anything you have about this presentation. And so let me just go back to my library newsletters, because that is something that I wanted to really show you about Canva. That Canva makes it so easy to create a library newsletter. I'm just going to go back to my projects. Let's see. Let me get out of this one. Here, my Canva projects. Okay. All right. So this is when the first thing that I did was, actually, I'll just start with a very new one. So I'm going to create a new design. All you have to do is type in the word newsletter, and all kinds of great things in Canva will pop up. They have a lot of really wonderful templates, and so I'm just going to use this one just to show you how easy it is. So this is a business newsletter, but you can change it to be whatever you like. You can come up with a catchy name. For my library, I came up with the MCHK Navigator, and we can make that smaller. We can take this out, and then I would change all the colors and put in my own text and pictures. And I'll just go back to my last newsletter, my May newsletter, which was this right here. So all of these elements are from Canva, and all of the fonts and everything are from Canva as well. So I just took those newsletters, I put my logo up at the top, I put a masthead up here with the date. This is my 9th newsletter this year. So I have a catchy title, I have a little tagline underneath, and I always have a welcome message on the front and something themed. So this month we're talking about science fiction. Here's my table of contents. Obviously, this is a busy month, so I don't have that many things in this particular one. But here I wrote a little brief article just about what's new in the library. And I don't mean that I just purchased science fiction books in the library, but these might be new to students who haven't checked them out in the past. So just talking about science fiction and how beneficial it can be. And then another similar article just for teachers. Here's my author study of Marissa Meyer. She's a science fiction author. You can click on any of these books and it'll bring you to the good read description of that book. And if you click here, it brings you to Marissa Meyer's author page. And here is my reader's advisory. Again, when you click on any of these books, they're linked to the Goodreads version of their review. And then here is just a little article that I wrote about creative AI, using AI for creativity. So one of the things I've been interested in lately is using AI for creative things. So these are a few different kinds of AI art generators you can use. And down here is a brand new thing that I've just been playing around with lately. It's called Udio. And this is a page that with an article that I wrote about Udio and a couple of music generators, Udio and Suno. And then this is what I really wanted to show you. The very last page of all of my newsletters usually have statistics for the last month and a recap of what happened in the library. So this is just a little picture, a snapshot. I get all of these statistics and data from my Follett Destiny library system. You might have a different one, but I'm sure it might not be too difficult for you to pick out some of these numbers. So 25 books were used in the library but not checked out. 50% of our checkouts were fiction titles. 33% of our checkouts were graphic novels. 15% of our checkouts were nonfiction titles. The LLC currently holds over 12,000 books right now. We have 287 books checked out to students right now. Students that are my top 10 readers for the month, I get that data from Follow Destiny, go into this bar chart. And as you know, probably, you can create charts in Canva fairly easily by just clicking on the charts app right over here on the left. I created this one, and every month, all I have to do really is put in different numbers and different names. So in my school, if you are a top 10 reader, then you get a merit or a house point. And this is another graph that I use to put in those numbers. And so that is really what I wanted to show you. I hope that all of that makes sense, and I hope that you're able to access some of the materials here. Here is another snapshot where you can just go to these flow codes if you'd like, and you can go to, I made a Canva library newsletter template out of my latest newsletter for you to use if you want. And also this flow code over here is for that library marketing presentation. And if you like it, maybe you can download it and take away some things there as well. So I hope that was informative enough, and I hope that is what you guys were looking for. Thanks so much. I hope to hear from some of you, and have a great conference.